You're listening to the Feed Your Wild podcast, a conscious lifestyle show about all things nourishing for your body, mind, and soul. I'm Vanessa Rodriguez, and join me for candid conversations with changemakers, exploring health and wellness, food as medicine, intuition and spirituality, and nature-based practices that will transform your health and feed all parts of your wild self. Welcome back to Feed Your Wild podcast and another moon musing, but this time we have a special hybrid moon musing. I'm really excited because we have our beloved Megan Liebmann with us today. Hello, Megan.
Hello, Vanessa. Hi, everybody.
Woohoo! If you are an OG, a Feed Your Wild listener, there's no introduction necessary. But for those of you who are new, I encourage you to check out our previous episodes of Moon Musing from the backlog of episodes. I think we are currently at 228. This is number 228.
Wow.
That's crazy.
Wow. That's amazing.
I know. It's amazing. It's wild. But clearly we have like over 200 episodes you can dive into. And in the beginning part of this podcast journey, Megan was a big part of our monthly moon musings. We used to have it twice a month for the new moon and the full moon. And those are really potent. And even though those are for, that particular moon phase and that time, we share so many tidbits that are practical and perennial, right? So they can be applied literally anytime. The same with the Akashic Records. Like, I feel like all of the content, even though it can be time-stamped by, the cosmos and like the actual date, there's just so much there. So I encourage you to go check those out. And then we also have Megan's more recent interview podcast where I interviewed Megan on her life and her work and slow medicine, which we'll be talking more about today. So I'll make sure to have all of those links in the show notes and you can do some catch-up homework if you'd like. So yeah, we are back and we're really stoked to announce that we have a brand new series that we will be jamming on, and Megan's going to be coming on regularly. But first, we're going to dive into the energetics of this moon. So start with the moon musing portion because so much is connected in with the energetics of this moon that we're going to be talking about and this series. And of course, everything just aligns so perfectly, right, Megan? We're like going through the notes and just jamming with each other on our thoughts. And it was like, oh my gosh, this is literally the perfect time to start diving into these conversations. So let's just get into it. Today, we have this new moon. And this new moon is in Sagittarius. It's Sag season. I love my Sages. I have my rising sign is Sagittarius, so is my partner's, and my child is a double Sag. Do you have any Sagittarius energy, Megan? I know you got some kind of fire in you.
It's in there somewhere.
Yeah.
I don't know where Sag lands on my chart. I'm a double Taurus. So I'm a Taurus sun and a Taurus moon, and then I'm a Gemini rising.
Yeah. I love my Geminis too.
But I love my Sag people also. There's a gentleness and a special kind of kindness I feel that runs through my Sag people that I cherish and love and hold very close.
Totally. And simultaneously, like having this, they like a party. They like a good party,
Me too.
So there's that like fire energy that can come through in the best of ways, like very expansive. So that's the energy of this new moon. So we've had a really fucking intense eclipse season. I know we probably say this with every eclipse season, right? Those like memes that go around on Instagram where like all the mystics and all the astro people are losing their shit every full moon or every eclipse. And it's just because it's real. I know that in the program that I'm leading, the Wildly Intuitive Practitioner program, all of us are feeling it in so many different ways. Like it really depends on how the eclipses and this energy is showing up in your particular chart and in your life. So for some people, maybe it's in your family system, maybe it's in your relationships, maybe it's in your career. But essentially, there's been a lot of contraction, and that is for the purpose of alignment, right? So, like getting back on track with what we're here to do and who we're here to be. So, eclipses are that bitter medicine in a way, that we can try to take in with a little bit of honey to smooth it out in our palate. And I feel like this new moon is a reset within this eclipse season. It's kind of the marker of the end of this particular eclipse season. So it could feel kind of like a coming up for air within the waters, the deep waters of Scorpio. And coming up for that pause of that fresh air, and that, a lot of these cosmic energies, those big waves have passed. And we might still be treading in the waters, we might still be treading in those deep waters, but we're not going to be necessarily drowned out by some of these bigger waves. At least this is more on a collective perspective. So new moons, they represent the start of a new lunar cycle, new beginnings, new awakenings, and new intentions and new prayers, right? New visions for ourselves, not just within this cycle, but kind of like in general, getting back on track with our life. And with this Sagittarius energy, so this particular moon is at 1 degree of Sagittarius. And Sagittarius is the adventurer and the seeker, like the seeker of wisdom. The Sag energy is really it's ruled by Jupiter. So Jupiter is all about optimism and higher consciousness and hope and really getting us to think and be bigger. So kind of that expansion piece. I really think about the archer, like with an arrow of a flame and pointing that bow and arrow up into the sky and projecting that out into like wherever you want it to go. So you get to set that for yourself every new moon. And with this energy too, I think it's interesting because with Sagittarius, it's not just about like expansion and going out there and getting big, but it's about reaching out into the cosmos and the world around us for greater understanding. So that seeker piece. And the planet is really linked kind of like Uranus to freedom and liberation and truth. So it's a visionary sign. It's visionary for the future, for your future, for the future of the collective. And it's a fire sign. And so it's connected in with our energy, our passion, our convictions, and Agni. If Ayurveda, it's connected to Agni, which is that like life force fire and metabolic fire that we have, digestive fire that we have within us. So this is a beautiful moon, a new moon for envisioning a more aligned future, a better future for yourself and your community, your family, and the greater world and collective around us. And you get to envision that. It really starts with that alignment and calibration according to what you hold as your highest vision. Like that's how things change around you, right? In the external world is by working on your inner world. That's how quantum works. It's an inside job. So a lot of what we're going to be talking about in our conversation with Megan today too, and in this series is about that inner fire, that inner pilot light, if you will, that is the initiating light and flame that literally lights every other fire that you create and tend. But we have to tend to that inner pilot light. And when we tune into that, when we tune into our inner pilot light, what is its quality? How's it doing? What does it indicate about you and your life situation and your trajectory? And so this lunation is a call for you to really look at that. This is also the first new moon since the eclipse season and the last one before winter solstice that we have, December 21st. which I'm going to do a plug. By the way, Megan is going to be a guest mentor for our wildly intuitive practitioner pathway. So she's going to be leading a masterclass. And if you guys want to join us in this, then I encourage you to apply, and all links are in the show notes. So quick plug right there. But I'm so excited about it. It's going to be really awesome. There's a lot more about this new moon, but I kind of just want to pause and see, Megan, is there anything coming up for you around like the energetics, this particular time, and like what I've just talked about right now?
Oh, there's so much that's coming up, especially around the pilot light and feeling all the feels from this eclipse season. And especially as being a practitioner who works really closely with people. I mean, we're all feeling it. I literally don't have a single person in my life who is not really deeply experiencing what I've been calling just the weight of the muck. It's like everybody's muck is different, but the weight that we're all carrying right now has been so intense. So the idea that we're heading into this new moon time, even just the way that you were talking about it, Vanessa, was like, oh, there is a light in there still. Like there's possibility. And I also really like the analogy of the arrow, especially lit on fire, because one thing that we can think about, especially with a fire lit arrow, is when it lands, it doesn't take that much to ignite, right? Like when it lands, it doesn't have to necessarily hit the bullseye. It can land, and you can know that just because of the very nature of fire, in some ways that it will easily spread in a good way, obviously not in a forest fire way, but being able to tune into that energy and even access it too. I know for me, sometimes I have a really hard time accessing what I want my new beginning to be. And the problem, or what oftentimes comes forward for me, is when I'm having trouble accessing what I want that beginning to be, that generally means that my pilot light is either like barely a glimmer or possibly even like kind of completely out. I think the idea of assessing your pilot light and even taking a gentle 10 or 15-minute meditation time to gaze at that light and gaze at where it's at can be a really, really helpful first step in even assessing and tuning into, what are you ready to bring fire to? What are we wanting to shift post this very tumultuous season?
Totally. The thing that I love too about this, and we're going to go much more deeply into that conversation of like what Megan's touching on. But one of the things that comes up around that for me, that I'm kind of like seeing this new moon in particular this time as a reset and kind of like a, you catch our breath a little bit, is the mutable energy of Sagittarius. So Sagittarius is what's called a mutable sign. Whereas there's, like, for example, there's fixed signs, which are a little bit more, I don't want to say stubborn, but some of them can be, they want to stay in place. Those are really amazing for like grounding and for like solidifying things, but not so much for movement and adaptability. Whereas mutable signs are adaptive energy. They help us to refine and adjust. And so riding this energy of Sag energy, of that mutable, adaptive, flowy type of energy. And so this is a wonderful time to explore different options and make the changes based off of your assessment of your own pilot light, like taking a look at what is off kilter, what is no longer working for you. And then you can brainstorm or research if you have to. Tune in. What is your body telling you that you desire? In terms of the body, Sagittarius, along with Sagittarius Jupiter as its ruling planet, the focus in terms of the body, the connections are the hip area. So the hips, the thighs, the butt, the sacrum, but also the sciatic nerve and the lower back. But also, in addition to that, it's connected to the liver and the ANS, the autonomic nervous system. So we're looking at I mean, all of this we're really talking about within this series too, because I feel so much has to do with our nervous system, right? Like if our nervous system is in any way, shape, or form taxed or just frayed, feeling like, okay, it's in some sort of like trigger, then the rest of our functions are not going to be working properly or optimally. And the liver, we know that the liver is like one of the most important organs of our body. It has so many different roles. It's so intelligent. And so there's a lot of tending there. It's also the house of like our metabolic fire and connected to our Agni, right? So there's our fire as well, and transformative fire. But when we look at the hips and the butt and the sciatic nerve and the lower back, to me, that's like a lot of like root and sacral chakra. That's where we hold a lot of trauma. And that's where we hold a lot of trauma from our ancestry. There's so much that's held in those areas. And so I think this is also an opportunity to begin to explore how to support those systems and those parts of our own bodies, and use this as an opportunity to kind of just gain awareness around it. And this reminds me of a story that you might share later, Megan, but that you had shared with us around running and like the power of kind of getting into a rhythm, right? With our legs and that like energy of moving our body, but really utilizing our legs and our hips and kind of like those lower aspects of our body to awaken and open things up to our awareness. Well, with that, let's move into what I think is amazingly juicy series that we're creating together. So kind of just like quick background info on this. Megan and I came together, I forgot when, it was sometime last year, where we were like, okay, we're going to like do something together, right? We're going to like do a series on it. And we opened up the Akashic Records because, you know, that's how we do. We have our like cards, we have our tarot cards, we have Akashic Records open. And our guides were like, now's not the time, patience. Right? It might have been like a year and a half ago or something. We were like, what? Come on.
Well, it's funny because when you said Megan and I came together, I immediately was like, went back like 10 years ago. Like, yeah, we did come together. But then I was like, there's been so many moments where we've come together and it's so beautiful. And yes, that was a little longer because a year ago you were about to pop
that's right.
out a baby. So
That's
it was,
right.
I think you were pretty like just past your first trimester.
Yeah. You are much better with timelines than I am. Yes, you are correct. And I think there was a lot going on for both of us. Our guides were like, yes, but it's not divine timing right now. And there was like this, the message of patience around it for both of us. So I thought that was really interesting. But it was seated there, right? Like that flame was there. We just needed to tend to ourselves clearly, you know, and like align in a lot of different areas of our life and do certain things prior to coming back with a little bit more clarity and with the blessings of the cosmos and divine timing. But here we are. And as we opened up our tarot cards for this, I wanted to share kind of like the behind the scenes of this. So we inquired, well, what is it that are we really going to focus on? Because we had an idea of like what we wanted to talk about. And it became very clear. And this is where it kind of ties back to this new moon in Sagittarius and Sag energy. We got the Ace of Wands reverse. And so ruled by the element of the fire, if you're not familiar with tarot, wands are ruled by fire. It's the fire element. And the wands are really about inviting us to drop back into our being and into that sacred flame that we hold, like the core of who we are. And that fire that runs our energy, it runs our actions, our adrenals, right? And so it's really about how we grow and we move forward in the world. And so the wands are like a check-in. And with the Ace of Wands reverse, it's a really potent check-in. It's about looking at what is not working, doing the like hard assessment and being really honest. Are we utilizing our energy in the world in the best way, our life force? And so it connects in with our topic that we have been wanting to share. Megan, do you want to announce the series?
Oh, you want me to announce it? Well, one thing I
Yes.
do want to just say is because I think what you're talking about, V, is really important, especially around listening to our guides. And I think as practitioners and women who are running businesses at this day and time, there's a real push to want to do things quickly and to like have an idea and act on it. And I just want to invite everybody to go back and listen to the episode. I believe we called it the life and death episode, right? Which will give you a really clear insight into what Vanessa was going through and what I was going through simultaneously, like at the exact same time. And why. I think it'll give some context around why our guides were like, not yet.
Yeah. Yeah.
The power of listening to that, even though, especially for me, if I get a fire about something, I can really, really want to act. And there's the possibility where I will wind up acting or taking action from a very depleted place. And I just don't have the space in the room and the ability to do that anymore. So I just want to invite people to go back and listen to that episode if you're curious about where we were next to where we are, which has been both of us finally landing in the place where we are here to launch a series called Healers on the Mend. Healers on the Mend.
Woo woo. Yes. Oh my gosh, so much in this title, which by the way, Megan came up with and I found like it was perfect for this. Yeah.
I think it's perfect.
And kind of touching in on the energetics piece of it in like what you were saying, kind of jumping on things as like looking at energetic types. You know, you guys, I love human design and really utilizing that to understand things. Well, I'm a manifesting generator. Megan's a generator. We're here to like do shit, right? Like we're here to do shit and get shit done. And we have that fire and like we want to do it and we get those gut feelings. And yet there is what we've been talking about. There are the proper times for it. So the importance of that checking in and building connection to your intuition and working with guides. I mean, working with guides is like, it's been game changer for me in my business and not just life, obviously, like my personal life, but business life. It's allowed me to move through and make decisions like this, like coming together and gaining clarity. And you're kind of like with your cosmic and spiritual team working on these for the greater good. Like, what do you guys most need and what we can share that might be helpful for you? And so this is what we've landed on, and I'm really stoked on it. Yeah.
Yeah, me too. I'm really, really stoked on it.
So, Healers on the Mend, we are starting today and we're going to attempt. So, I'm not going to attach to any specific timeline because, again, we're working on like cosmic divine timing. So, we'll follow intuitively what feels best and how we are guided to do so. But our intention is for this to be a monthly series. And we are speaking, as the name indicates, we are speaking to the healers, to the practitioners, to the helpers, those who are here to be in service to others and support the healing journey of others, right? So I think maybe we can scratch the surface a little bit right now on what we mean by healers, Megan, right? Because I think a lot of people, I know I did for a long time, I had a lot of resistance to that term healer and calling myself a healer. So do you have any initial thoughts on that?
Yeah, it can be a tricky word. And I had a lot of resistance with that word also. But the more I feel like I have stepped in to my journey of interpersonal healing and my healing journey, the more I feel comfortable working with that. Whereas a few years ago, even, I think on my old Amethyst and Rose website, the blog name that I had was Notes from a Healer. It made me cringe. Like it was cringy to me. And I feel like though I was in the art of healing, I was working with people, and I have been working with people to help them heal and access their inner healer within themselves. I myself wasn't doing a whole lot of healing for myself. I was definitely I was doing some. I was doing as much as I could as a mama of two young boys. But the more that I have really embraced my own healing journey, it has enabled me to step more comfortably into that word. Like I'm able to wear it. I don't have to like try it on and take it off and then try it on again. Like I'm now able to really comfortably wear that word, if that makes sense. I would say, yes, if you're working in the arts of healing, if you're an advocate, if you're a counselor, anyone who is helping to advocate for others is who I feel this is for, right?
Yeah, I totally agree. You know, it's interesting because when I first started this whole journey before I got into the healing arts, I thought I wanted to be an advocate for cancer patients and their families. And now I'm like, I am. You know, like what I thought I had very defined ideas about what these were. And I realized, oh, you can be all of that. And I think that advocacy is such a huge, huge part of a healer's job and healing, the process of healing, advocacy for oneself. And there's many, many different ways that that can be expressed. So the Healers on the Mend series is not just for professionals or those who are practitioners by trade, or you're making money from this, or even if you're not making money from it, because we know a lot of practitioners, healers are not, right? But even if you don't consider yourself a so-called professional within healership or the healing arts, you are still a healer, like mothers, right? Who are supporting their babies and their families, or like friends who they call upon you because you are the one that can support them. Like that's, you know, you're a healer because all of your life you have been that person that people trust and go to for that advocacy, for advice. And so I want people to also understand that, and that when we say healer, it's also not that you are healing someone else, or you're like in this state of power where you get to heal others or fix others. That's not what this is about. Being a healer is really coming in communion with yourself and with the other, if you're choosing to work with others, and supporting them through their healing journey and being their own healer. Right? That is what true healing is, in my opinion, my humble opinion. And I think the best healers are the ones that really understand that and can position themselves and others in a way where you're coming together to make that happen, to make that unfold in a really empowering way.
Beautiful. I agree wholeheartedly.
Yeah. So why on the mend? Why healers on the mend? Let's talk about the mending piece of this.
Oh, the mending. I really love mending and tending, mending and tending. I feel like those are two words that I've felt very deeply connected to. Whereas in the past, I think I felt this need to be fixed, whereas fixing and mending are two very different things, very, very, very different things. And there's a really beautiful art to mending. And to be honest, if I'm really honest, I hope I'm allowed to say this. I actually, one of my only reasons I like going onto Instagram is there's a couple different people who all they do is mend shit, like with a needle and thread. And I could watch it all day long.
Taurus moon.
Like it's the stitching together through the threads and creating this, like what was a big hole or gaping wound, and through mending and tending what it turns into, which can be this beautiful addition to the tapestry that whatever it is we're mending, whether that's our health, whether it's our life, whether it's our friendships, whether it's our relationships, when we mend, we are inviting that which we're mending into the tapestry of our lives. I hope that makes sense.
1,000%. And I like that it's like this action oriented, it's a journey, right? It's not like a destination. of so-called fixed, which doesn't really exist. I know you guys are probably going to like scream it with your headphones on that it's a Japanese term about like perfectly imperfect. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I do. It's wabi-sabi.
Yes, wabi sabi. Thank you. So I just like envision as we're talking about this like beautiful, simple little cup with like this golden, like it was broken and mended, but it's done so in such a way that's really beautiful, beautifully, perfectly imperfect. And I love that energy around this word, that it's like infused with that, you know, that we are a work in progress. We're these beautiful spirit filled bodies that are in motion, and we can break and we can have various things go awry and not according to plan, and we can hurt ourselves and be hurt. And so these beautiful scars that we carry, the way our body mends itself, it's like, I know that so often people can see some of their scars and it can carry, like energetically, it can carry a lot there that might not feel so good, you know, like memories or traumas. But there's another side to that scar, which is like the beauty of your body's resilience and ability to self-repair and self-heal. And so starting to come into a different relationship with our scars, with our healing process, and ultimately with ourselves. Like that's really where it starts.
I like that you bring up the scars, and I can share. I mean, personally, I've had how many abdominal surgeries now?
Mm-hmm.
And all in the lower abdomen. And when I was younger, I used to love my flat belly. Like it was this thing that I was so proud of. Like I had this flat belly. And since in the last 8 years, I now probably have 6 pretty good size scars on my lower abdomen. And I can generally use that, like my relationship to my scars as I look down and I'm taking a shower. My reaction to my scars is generally a really good indicator of where I'm at on my wabi-sabi meter, in all honesty. And I appreciate it. And oftentimes I'll find myself where I'm like, I feel so embarrassed because one of my scars is fucking huge. It goes from my navel down to my pubic bone, and it's probably about an inch wide. And I know when I'm in that place that I need to just go to my husband and be like, do you still love my scar? And he's like, fucking love your scar.
Oh,
You are alive. He's like, it's the most beautiful, sexy scar in the world.
Yeah. That's amazing.
And it helps, you know, it'll really help my mind state. But it's also that information for me where I'm like, oh, okay, so there's some healing that I need to embark on right now. And typically that's where I will go and I'll get an abdominal massage, or I'll do some form of abdominal healing because there's energy in there that's clearly trapped. And typically, once I have tended and mended that relationship, even though I might have to do it over and over again, it just lets me see this meter where I'm at with my acceptance and where I'm at with the wabi-sabi.
I love that you shared that. And first of all, shout out to your hubby for it's amazing. I love it.
He's the best. He really is the best.
He's the best. And the way that he also, it's like so like straight shooter, you know?
Totally. Yeah. There's literally there is no fluff with that man.
I love it. Yeah. Thank you for sharing that you recognize, right? Like, okay, well, this is an indicator too. There's still more work here. And like not being down on yourself for that, you know, like not even like judging, because then we can judge ourselves for judging, right? It becomes this cycle. And I think it really comes back to that deep compassion piece of like where we're at, and that wabi sabi of it's all beautiful wherever we are. And so with this Healers on the Mend, it's speaking to those of us and those of you who are here to be in service in this way that we've been talking about, that you're on your own healing journey and you're supporting others in their healing journey, and that there's a lot of mending and tending that needs to be done for the healers themselves. And I think a big thing that Megan and I have seen, and now it's in the zeitgeist. I mean, I like, maybe because it's just in my awareness right now. And so it's like blowing up on my feed. You know how the algorithms are like psychic like that. But I think there's something here. We're riding this wave and impulse, if you will, around, hey, we really need to support the healers, because if we don't, who the fuck is going to help other people heal, right? Like, that's just how it works. And yet, so much of what we see is martyrdom, servitude, not enoughness, unworthiness. I'm not supposed to get paid for this. You know, there's so many different ways that we can literally bleed out our energetic reserves and our pilot light goes out, that we need to bring our energy and attention, awareness, and compassion back to. And that's what this theme around this inner pilot light, the new moon in Sagittarius, the Ace of Wands reverse, right? I'll just give an example. I was literally it was the same day that we started to kind of come together on this, Megan, right? Where if anybody knows Doctora Rosales Mesa, she's online on Instagram. I think her handle is at Dr. Rosales Mesa. I'm pretty sure. I'll put it in the show notes. But anyway, she's an amazing therapist. She's much more than a therapist, but she had this really powerful post that was on my feed, and it was service does not equal servitude was one of those. You know, you can show up for the collective without neglecting yourself. She was talking about being a healer shouldn't have to mean that you show up as a martyr in martyrdom. And why do we act like healers don't have needs? And so it was like validation, right? Like, oh yeah, this is not just us that are seeing this in our clients and our colleagues, because we mentor and work with other practitioners and healers, right? But this is a bigger thing. And I think that we wanted to really just create and cultivate a space, kind of like a salon, where we can have this dialogue and discussion for the healer and with the healer. So with you, we really want this to be, again, a dialogue and conversation. And we invite you to reach out to us. I'll make sure to have the links below, but you can even leave us a voice message. I have a way where you can click a link and leave us a voice message with your questions. What do you want us to talk about? What are you dealing or struggling with? Any commentary, right? Like, we want this to be participatory and coming together as a community. So we're like really excited about that. Hey, I'm interrupting this episode to bring you a special invitation. If you are a healer, helper, or a stuck empath that feels like they're really called to be in service, but just not sure how to move forward on that path, I have a special private and free training on how to create a transformative intuitive healing practice you love. In it, I include literally the culmination of everything that I have learned through my experience over the past decade as an intuitive healer, and bridging the science and spirituality of healing work and creating a practice that not only supports your community, your clients and patients, but also brings together all of your gifts into a beautiful vehicle for your soul mission. This private training is available for those who apply to my Wildly Intuitive Practitioner Pathway. This is my 6-month group mentorship and practitioner mastermind for healers and helpers who are ready to step out of the spiritual closet, expand their intuitive gifts, and go from struggling empath or conventional practitioner to what I call New Earth Intuitive Healer. In the Wildly Intuitive Practitioner Pathway, aka WIP, together we initiate into the Akashic Records for intuitive connection, experiencing deep self-healing and unparalleled support for your clients and patients, and not to mention you. We discover your intuitive gifts and break through blocks, limiting beliefs, fears, and programmings that are holding you back. and you get to channel an integrative body of work that synthesizes your innate gifts, experience, and wisdom, and ultimately design a unique and valuable and effective holistic intuitive healing practice that's transformative and divinely led. This is an accelerated path held by a group with other heart-centered practitioners, healers, and change makers, getting some deep intuitive coaching, foundational intuitive healing training, personal growth curriculum, and practitioner practicum circles, as well as hands-on support from our team. If you're feeling ready to say yes to your calling as the intuitive healing practitioner you are meant to be, I invite you to apply today and get your instant access to the advanced VIP training, How to Create a Transformative Intuitive Healing Practice You Love. You can go to wildlyrooted.com/apply or click the link in the show notes, and I'll see you on the other side. Now, back to our episode.
Yeah, and I just want to say too, our nervous systems, all of our nervous systems are so deeply, deeply, deeply interconnected. And as practitioners and as people who are working with others in whatever fashion or form that might be, there's a responsibility that comes with that. And it wasn't until pretty recently where it really hit me, where the simple fact that my energy and Vanessa's energy, we are co-creating together all the time. And Vanessa and I are so freaking sensitive to each other that literally, if either of us is even showing up with an inkling of anything, it's like known right away.
It's like, oh no, I'm going to be seen by Megan.
Yeah. But in that, when we are creating spaces with other people, the tending to our own nervous systems, right? And our nervous system isn't just in our mind, it's our whole body. Our whole body is our nervous system. And our mind is what comes up with story around what our body and our nervous system is experiencing, right? So I think that that's always an important thing to recognize and think through. And of course, this goes deeper into polyvagal theory. But the simple fact that we do have a responsibility to care for ourselves as healers and as menders and as people who are helping to tend to other people, because we, no matter what, are co-creating the ecosystem that is being stepped into, whether you're working with groups, whether you're working with one-on-one, whether you are just simply going on a walk with your friend, your inner ecosystem is inevitably going to be connected to their ecosystem. And then it becomes a co-creation process. And I feel like so much of what we can work with in this series is holding and cherishing and tending and mending that interconnected, beautiful gift of a responsibility that we get to hold and embrace.
Oh, I love this so much. Thank you for bringing this into the conversation right now. And it also makes me think about so much, but one of them is my time with my son as an infant and baby, and how he literally, the way that he regulates is through co-regulation with me, right? And yes, that's true for babies as they're developing like their own nervous systems and way of moving through this world, but it's also true for like adult humans. We co-regulate with one another. And as a healer, all true healing begins through connection and the heart, right? So it's like, speaking of like that nervous system piece in the ecosystem, like that is then the environment in which somebody can come in and receive the healing that's available to themselves and for themselves. And it's through the heart connection. And of course, the heart is very much part of our nervous system, right? And it's innervated by the vagus nerve, which you just touched on, like polyvagal theory. And so we won't get into all of that, but there's so much here. There's so much here around how you show up and how you are doing in your life, and how your pilot light is doing is going to have a direct impact and influence on those that you serve, that you help, that you tend, and that you commune with in general, whether or not you're in like a so-called healing relationship with them or not. And so this healers on the mend, yes, we're speaking to practitioners and the healing artists and all you beautiful people, but we are also speaking to this larger movement of like humans in general. Like the movements, like this movement is riding the waves together as a collective through these tumultuous waves that we've been in, and even like treading the lighter waters. So that's what we're going to get into in these series. And to give you a little bit more insight into kind of specific piece that we're going to move into now. Again, we consulted with our guides and we pulled a card on this. And what came through when we were asking, what is it that we want to start off really talking about? And Megan brought up this term, disentanglement and disentangling. And so we started to play around with that and ask, well, disentangling from what? Because, and Megan, you can speak more into the disentanglement piece. But when we asked that question, we pulled a card, we got 7 of Cups. And 7 of Cups here, there's a lot of different meanings around it. But really, when we tuned into the context of disentanglement, it's around illusions and illusionment. Right? So 7 of Cups can be an invitation to daydream, but without that need to attachment of any type of external outcome. So this is like the energy of this card is like, oh, if my external world were fixed or better, then I would feel better. That's what this card is kind of pointing to and being like, that's not actually how it works. We need to flip that. And coming back to what we were talking about earlier, it's not about starting with the external or even like looking at the external at all, but really doing the inner work and bringing the focus and attention back to yourself, back to your inner pilot light, and asking this question for yourself, like, where is this disentanglement process really needed? I'm curious, Megan, how did that term come to you when we were deliberating on this? Like, it seemed to like really emerge, and I was curious where that came from for you.
Well, I mean, part of what Christina and I have created within the Slow Medicine Collective, which is our business, slowmedicinecollective.com, a big thread of, as we were launching Slow Medicine Collective, was I kept having this vision of someone trying to just being so wrapped up in misinformation, so wrapped up in confusion, so just wrapped up in wires that were cutting off blood flow and circulation to the very essence of the person, right? The very essence of whether you're a patient or a client or whether you're a practitioner, because we train both. We train practitioners and we have our client portal as well. And either way, there's this, when we're entangled, when we're deeply tied up in something that is cutting off our life force, we don't have access to that which is our own, right? We don't have access to our inner light. And slow medicine was basically, in some ways, born to help people disentangle from all the systems that are built to keep you sped up and keep you deep in survival mode. So that's kind of where I'm seeing part of when I'm working with people, I see the cords that they're just tangled up in. And there's so much power in that word, disentangle, because it's an action, right? You get to take action in untangling yourself from finding your inner light. It's mean. It's not just soft wool or ribbon wrapped around you. I see these as wires cutting off life force. It feels big and important.
Oh, and there's so many layers to this. When you brought that up, I mean, immediately it was okay, disentanglement. And when we brought up 7 of Cups, illusionment, it brought up for me personally, the matrix. So the overculture of toxic capitalism that we are quite literally entangled with. So we can speak to that. I think it would be important as healers, and also especially those who are making this your business. How do you operate in a toxic capitalistic society that is all about go, 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 production, not enoughness? It's extractive. in its nature inherently. It's degenerative instead of being regenerative. And it literally has its tentacles all over us, right? Like it's in your pocketbooks, it's in like your mind, because it's like the not enoughness piece, got to make it work, got to survive. I mean, there's just so much history around that, right? And like putting down the healers, we can even look at like history and the witch wound that I see as so many of us carry, quite literally being killed for doing the work that you do, right? As a healer, showing up as yourself, sharing your voice. So that's a huge piece that I see so many healers journeying with, is this trauma and history around sharing their gifts, around sharing their voice and their message, even connecting to it, it feels dangerous. So there's these levels of disconnection, and at the root of it, so much has to do with this entanglement with these systems. You know, that's just an example, but there's also spiritually. I mean, let's not even go into there because it's like that's a whole nother podcast episode. Anyway, all that to say, I'm going on a rant, as you could see, because there's so much here and it's so important, but it's not about, again, starting off by looking externally. It's about starting within yourself, turning the focus inward, which a lot of healers have resistance to, right? So that's what we're going to go deep with these, y'all. We're going to go deep. And that's where we also want you to share, like within the context of everything that we're talking about, there's so much that we can say in these episodes, but we really want to hear from you. What do you need support around? What is coming up for you? And what would you like to hear us go on and on and on about in your ear?
And I would also say, as a practice, I think I said it earlier when we were more talking about, I mean the was talking about the moon musings and the new moon in Sagittarius so beautifully. You're so good, Vanessa. The invite, just take a pause and dim down your lights, even lay down on the floor, really feel your body on the earth. Use an eye mask if you have one, or a towel if you don't, and cover your eyes and just take a moment to really tune into your pilot light. What's happening with it? And it's a spectrum, right? It can be out to incredibly dim, or it can be burning rapidly. And either or, like wherever you fall on that spectrum, if it's burning too hot or if it's not burning enough, what are the practices? What are you most called to work with to bring you into that state where you feel that gentle glow, where you feel like it's fueling you in the way that you most want to be fueled? I'm going to do that. I feel like I really need that.
Yeah. And again, that looks different for each person. We want to have these invitations because I think it's so helpful. We can imagine, like, as healers, we have our toolkits. We know the things to do, right? Like we know the what mostly, but so often we need that reflection and that community and that container to guide us back to the very things that we know are going to help us in the moment. And so that's why, yes, of course, it's amazing to have these tools and the knowledge and know which herbs to bring in and what foods to eat and, what practices, and maybe you have your mainstay practices, but to be supported, to be held, to be seen and guided is medicine in itself. And we hope that this can be a vehicle for that in some way, even though it's in the ethers and it's in your earbuds. But we really want to cultivate that, like an energetic container and coven, so to speak, where we can be that for one another. And we also want to provide some tangible, practical tips. So with that said, the themes of this particular moon and this conversation, we're talking about pilot light. the inner fire, Sagittarius with fire energy and connected to vitality and the liver and joy and metabolism and all that. So we wanted to bring in a particular herb that you can work with and a recipe for the month and to try out. And so we will make sure that each episode will have something tangible and practical that you can walk away with and try, and we can come together and see how it felt for you. So Megan, do you want to go into that?
Sure. So the herb and the recipe that we were thinking of focusing on, and I like to go narrow and deep with 1 or 2 herbs as opposed to trying to bring in a whole lot of herbs into like even a 10-minute conversation. And we don't even have 10 minutes for this one. But the herb we want to invite you into relationship with is ginger. Ginger is so beautiful and it is so warming and so delicious. It's wonderful for the immune system, wonderful for the respiratory system. It's wonderful for the digestive system. There's so many really beautiful ways that ginger can support our bodies and more specifically support our inner light and our pilot light. It's a warming herb. It can be a bit drying. So especially during winter time, if you tend more towards like dry skin, you can bring in a more like emollient or emulsifying herb or a mucilagenic herb. So one of my favorite combinations is marshmallow and ginger as a tea. Super beautiful. And the recipe that we are inviting you to work with is fire cider. Fire cider has been around for so long. Anyone who claims that a fire cider recipe is theirs is not in integrity and is probably full of shit. It came from, it was originally crafted by the beautiful Rosemary Gladstar, who was my first herbal teacher. This was more than 25 years ago. I think I did her art and science of herbal medicine when it was mailed to you in like a binder. And it was probably, I still remember the day I got that package in the mail. It was so exciting.
That's awesome. That we need to bring that back, like getting packages in the mail for like
That's
courses and
yeah, that tangible. You can feel it in your being. But yeah, fire cider is essentially a whole bunch of awesome foods and herbs. So there's ginger, there's turmeric. I like to put echinacea root in mine and horseradish and onions and garlic. And you can make it spicy with jalapenos if you want. And then ultimately, you're just covering all of those beautiful herbs and foods with a whole bunch of vinegar and letting it macerate for about 6 weeks is in general my favorite time frame for it. And then you strain out the herbs, add it to your compost, and you drink a shot of fire cider every day to warm your being, warm your inner fire, warm your pilot light. And one of the things I think that's just missing in so many different ways, and I think it's so important, is to understand why you're working with a formula, why you're working with an herb. Though we're saying to light your inner light or warm your pilot light, if you're experiencing immune dysregulation or your kids are like my kids who are literally bringing something home every other fucking week, it's insane. I don't even understand. But I know why I'm working with the herbs I'm working with, and they become a part of my family. They become a part of my being. They're not just this fast food type medicine that I'm tossing back in hopes that it'll work. Like having the relationship and the deeper understanding of what that herb is doing for your body is really powerful, or what the horseradish is doing for your body, or what the fire cider, supporting your immune system, supporting your fire inside of you, keeping yourself warm, and sticking to those indispensable warming remedies that are so powerful for our beings, especially for those of us in the Northern Hemisphere this time of year.
Yeah. So beautiful. I'm really excited. I encourage you all to also, well, we'll make sure to share Megan's recipe that you have over on your blog, but to experiment. Maybe there's something that's speaking to you, that's calling to you, like Megan mentioned, echinacea. there could be like other, or like rosemary, there could be some pine thrown in there, so
Yeah.
whatever is coming up for you is, hey, this herb, this plant is really speaking to me or calling to me, and add them to the mix, right? And work with them. But we are providing this as an invitation to work with ginger and fire cider this season, supporting your pilot light and inner fire. And we would love to hear how it goes, or you can even share if you're on Instagram. We're both on Instagram. You could tag us. I'll make sure to have all of our links in the show notes. And once again, please, please, please reach out. We would love to hear your voice, literally. You can go to wildlyrooted.com/podcast connect, or click the link where it's indicated in the show notes and leave us a message. We look forward to hearing from you. Anything else, Megan, that's coming up for you right now as we close out?
I'm so excited to be here. I'm excited to share the space with you all. I'm excited to be walking hand in hand with you, Vanessa. And it's always a joy and an honor to share space with you and to collectively become part of all of your world and your consciousness. I don't take it lightly that you're inviting us into your world. It's big and it means a lot.
Well, we love you, Megan, and it's an honor to have you hearing your voice, and I missed it for sure. I know a lot of folks reaching out to me miss your voice too, so I'm excited to dive in with this new energy and this focus on the healer, and just in time for this holiday season. So for tomorrow and this season in general, take great care in this holiday. And for winter solstice, I'll make sure that we'll probably have an episode before the solstice. So we'll make sure to bring it for that episode too. And until then, sending you so much love.
Bye, everyone.
Bye. Hey there, I made something for you. One of the biggest challenges that I hear from people is that they are feeling stuck when it comes to their health. You're a smart, capable, and creative change maker, right? And you know what you should be doing for your health. So what gives? Well, it's not about willpower. And I wanted to create something that would help you to unlearn the things that are keeping you stuck, so that you can get out of your own way and master the mindset of health. That's why I created Wildly Unstuck, where you'll learn the top 5 things that I have found to sabotage your health goals and what to do about them. You'll learn what it really takes to become committed and unstoppable when it comes to your health goals, and find the clarity you've been looking for so you know exactly what to do to get back into alignment. And I made it totally free. So if this is something that you want to dive into and create a vision and soul goals for your health and your life, and bring your gifts to the world, because we know that we need it, then I invite you to join us in Wildly Unstuck. You can find that at wildlyrooted.com/unstuck. I'll see you on the other side.